I got it. Yeah, I'm getting it right now.
Hand it to me. May 22nd, 2010 was the best, worst tornado chase of my life. The May 22nd, 2010 Bowdle, South Dakota chase is famous among storm chasers for many reasons. First of all, you had a classic cyclic supercell producing a large, violent tornado over the open country of the Dakotas. You had Tim Samaras and the Twist-X crew making a harrowing probe deployment in the tornado, and the infamous Storm Chaser Field incident, as the supercell swallowed storm chasers who were trapped as their road suddenly ended in a farmer's field as tornadoes spun up all around them. It's taken me 15 years to be able to laugh about my own experience that day, and it's finally time I told the story and uploaded my entire chase video. My story started several days early. I'd had just an okay season so far, headlined by the May 10th Waukeeta, Oklahoma tornado on a high-risk day. That was my only tornado day of the year so far, and I was starting to get antsy. I noticed a shortwave forecast to lift into the Dakotas on the 22nd of May, a few days early, probably around the 19th or 20th. The wave would lift into an extremely unstable environment, but a stout cap made it hard to feel confident that a storm would actually develop. I ran the idea of chasing the setup by my usual chase partners, but everyone was tied up with other things. My girlfriend at the time had been chasing with me a bit the last few seasons, and asked her if she'd be up for a marathon. My family has spent our summers at a cabin on a lake in central Wisconsin for my entire life. The morning of May 21st, I was still torn. The setup looked like it was going to be all or nothing. A big old tornado chase on the northern plains, or a blue sky cat bust and a waste of hundreds of dollars of precious gas money on my shoestring college student budget. Let's hedge our bets, I figured. We'll drive up to Wisconsin, spend a relaxing evening on the lake, and I can wake up early on the 22nd and make a final call. So we drove 5 hours north from Champaign, Illinois to our cabin in Wisconsin and had dinner, a swim, and an otherwise relaxing night. We were still 9 hours from the target area in South Dakota tomorrow, but close enough now that I could get a good night's sleep and decide in the morning. I woke up around 4 a.m. on the 22nd and it was an obvious go. Models showed explosive instability in a deeply sheared environment favorable for supercells and tornadoes, and most importantly, they showed the cap breaking with storm development in the early evening. We loaded up the car and were on the road before sunrise, driving through dense fog in southern Minnesota as deep moisture pooled ahead of the approaching storm system. I stopped us for lunch in Sioux Falls, South Dakota to do one more sanity check before pushing on toward the target area setting up just west of Aberdeen. I stopped for gas and a shot of caffeine in Aberdeen as the cap began to break, visiting with Reed and his caravan of Discovery Channel support vehicles before the chase was finally on. This has always been one of my favorite storm chasing photos that I've ever snapped. Pointed out the windshield as the Bowdle supercell erupts down Highway 12, prompting a tornado warning after just a few radar scans. To me, this photo encapsulates the energy of the moments before you intercept your storm on a chase day. You've got no idea what's about to happen over the next few hours, but at this moment, the decision to chase was definitely the right one.
We're in northern South Dakota, right on the South Dakota-North Dakota border, west of Aberdeen. And we've got a supercell rapidly developing to the southwest, about 40 miles. You can see the anvil coming out right now. It's developing really fast. It's one of those days everything's off the chart, but I was worried about capping, but that seems to be not an issue as about 3 radar scans that's developed. It's already taking on a supercell form, so it looks like the cap is not going to be a problem, so we should have a pretty healthy supercell in about, not very long actually. T and I are gonna keep plowing west, try and get under this thing. Not under it, I'm expecting massive hail. We're gonna get adjacent to it in about half an hour. Right on the warm front, so instability is nuts, shear is nuts. Hopefully the storm will go nuts.
My chase started with a simple mistake. Driving west down Highway 12, I picked out 326th Avenue running south out of Bowdle as my intercept road. I don't remember how or why I missed this turn, but I missed it coming into town. That's fine, I figured, and instead pushed on to Highway 47 a few miles further west. This decision, setting up on 47 instead of 326th Avenue, changed my entire chase. Initially, it changed my chase for the better. I pulled off on a little dirt side road, 137th Street, and set up my camera facing west and filmed one of my favorite supercell time lapses of all time as the rotating storm exploded in front of us, spinning up several times and producing the first brief tornadoes of its life.
watch the RFD, but it's probably gonna go just across this road. We're gonna be close, but stupid RFD. Okay, let's actually go. Just because the RFD.
The storm is clearly wrapped up to do the big thing now, and I note a big RFD surge coming in across the field to our left, or from the south. Our road is also lined with power lines on the left, and picturing these power lines blowing down and potentially trapping us, I decide to move us back to the main highway right as the first big tornado of the day touches down behind us. This is when things go sideways. It's a wet, rainy RFD, which begins throwing rain in my face and into my car as I try to film the tornado from relatively close range.
I don't want to.
Got that? I got it. Yeah, I'm getting it right now.
Hold hand it to me. Is that RFD let's talk about?
What I don't realize is, while this first tornado is on the ground, the proverbial switch is being flipped and this storm is going nuts. The supercell mesocyclone is expanding and intensifying as it prepares for the big one. This first tornado is basically flung around the edge of the mesocyclone right at us. I try blasting back north to Highway 12, but the tornado out my window to the west is keeping pace with me, and if I keep going north, I'm gonna be sideswiped. So I pull off into a farm drive and let the tornado cross the road in front of us.
Is it on it?
This. Want to get south.
Is that it? Right?
Yeah.
Do you want me to get it?
At this moment, I still kind of think the mesocyclone is just occluding from this first tornado. I sit there in some of the strongest RFD winds I've ever experienced, while farm buildings in front of us start losing pieces of sheet metal, which are literally being sucked into the developing monster tornado to our north. You can make out some of the vortices dancing in the field here as the Bowdle tornado organizes.
storm. That is nuts. You alright?
Of course. Do you want me to stop this?
Oh, it might be over here in a sec. On the other side of that building. Man, I hope I was recording.
As the first tornado was flung across Highway 47, it blew several power poles across the road, trapping a few storm chasers and blocking the north route back to Highway 12. You might notice it in some shots throughout the video. The prior week had seen several rounds of heavy rain and thunderstorms in the area. Driving along Highway 12 earlier in the day, I noted standing water in the farm fields around Bowdle, with many of the dirt side roads already being turned to mud. I was suddenly faced with a pivotal decision. Test the dirt side roads and attempt to quickly get east back into position, or acknowledge that the muddy side roads may trap me and sticking to pavement would guarantee the rest of my chase, though I'd have to say goodbye to the storm for nearly an hour. Calculations ran through my head, and I figured the day is young, the storm is going to go for a while, and I've already got this one tornado on film. Let's hit the reset button. Again, rather than spinning up the Bowdle monster, from my view to the south, I really kind of thought this big RFD surge was going to blow the circulation up for a moment, and I'd have time as the storm reorganized. I literally thought I was the smart one here. That first tornado is toast, and while everyone else deals with the tornado damage and flooded roads, I'll be the only one out ahead and in position for the next one. Boy, was I wrong. As I dropped south away from the storm, I snapped one more photo of the incredible RFD cut with, invisible from my range, the Bowdle tornado ongoing. I started to wonder if I had kinda maybe messed up. As I made my south, then east, then north journey to get back ahead of the storm, I tuned into a local radio station which reported a stationary wedge tornado near the town of Bowdle. My throat sank into my heart, which sank into my stomach, which sank into my butt. Everything sank. I was missing the big one while I repositioned. To make things worse, my north option was completely lined with pheasants. As I blasted north on 342nd Avenue toward Roscoe, a pheasant on the left side of the road flew out of the ditch at the last moment, crossing the road and meeting the front of my car. I hit the pheasant squarely and mounted it to the front of my beloved Mazda 6. I'm missing the wedge tornado that I drove all the way out here for, and now I've done damage to my car and killed an animal. Things are going great.
We had to drop way south because the road was blocked because of tornado damage. We just caught the supercell again, and I just nailed a pheasant. I'm trying to not lose control right here. You can see the feathers flapping up. Part of my grill just flew past, so I know I have car damage. Hopefully nothing too extensive, but I'm trying to get out ahead. Back to the highway here. I don't know how I'm gonna get that out of there. And the storm's about to produce again, I think.
I stopped in Roscoe to get the pheasant out of the grill of my car. Well, I'm gonna be honest, after trying to get the bird out while breaking more and more off the front of my car, I had to have my girlfriend get out and rip the band-aid off, bird. It was at this moment, sitting in Roscoe, removing the pheasant from my car, that I missed the photogenic little cone tornado that followed the Bowdle wedge.
Alright, well we just got the pheasant out of my car. I hope I don't lose my entire grill. Can you grab my camera? It's right by your shoulder.
At this point, the supercell was visually turning into a high precipitation storm, hiding the tornadic region behind a wall of rain. I'd had enough at this point. Some days it's very clearly not your day, and I just decided to set the shovel down instead of digging my hole any deeper. Instead of going in for more, I decided to push east a little further toward Ipswich. It was a white flag, surrender move. From here, I could shoot supercell structure and ideally see any final tornadoes from a distance. As my day quieted down, things were getting spicy for a herd of storm chasers who opted to use the muddy side roads near Bowdle. It wasn't a muddy road that claimed the storm chasers, but instead a road that mapping programs said connected through to more road options, ended suddenly in a farmer's field. With numerous tornadoes spinning up around them, the chasers attempted to bail south, driving through a soggy, planted wheat field and ultimately being stuck there, stranded into the night with one very angry farmer. That's my final small win for the day, sleeping in a bed with a roof over my head after this whole fiasco. I was instructed to avoid looking at any photos of the tornado that I had missed by my buddy Colin, and after shooting some Amadas at dusk, I routed us to a hotel in Sioux Falls where we spent the night. The next morning, I tucked my tail and limped my Mazda back to a couple consolation days at the lake while I made my plan to replace the front grille of my car.
Could be one hidden in that rain. I can't tell if there's a tornado on the ground right now or not.
There's been all this emergency equipment heading west.
Yeah, well, there have been tornadoes touching down with this storm, so.
Been real problems out west with major damage or anything, or what's going on?
I haven't heard one way or another.
Boy, with about 7 or 8 vehicles, something happened out there.
Yeah.
My wife called a while ago, about 30 minutes ago, and said there was a tornado out just west of Bowdle.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't really see underneath the storm right now to tell if there's one on the ground right now or not, but it's heading this way. What's that?
You're from Illinois?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I better get the heck out of here then.
Alrighty. Take care.
I think about this day a lot and the decisions made. If I stop on the road I meant to south of Bowdle, none of this happens. I'm further away from the first tornado, but I'm right there for the main event. Or maybe during that first tornado, I leave sooner and push north faster, beating the tornado across the road and making it back to Highway 12, having a front row seat to the main event. Or what if I decided to play on the muddy back roads? Perhaps I come in from the back and see the main event, or maybe I become a new piece of the Bowdle lore and trap myself in the mud in an extremely precarious situation. At the end of the day, none of it matters. It is what it is. The best, worst storm chase of my life. I filmed one of my favorite supercell time lapses of all time and documented a cone tornado in South Dakota from close range. That's awesome. I also missed all but the early stages of one of the most legendary tornadoes in storm chasing history, even though I'd nailed the forecast and execution of the chase going back 48 to 72 hours before any of this ever happened. It stung a lot. And like I said at the top, it's taken me about 15 years and a lot of other tornado chases going right to be able to laugh at what happened to me back on May 22nd, 2010.